call a dream team. And our dream team collaborated and took what's a simple concept paper and made it into what you'll see today. We're so honored to recognize these community members who gave their time and talent to make Unlocked possible. We'll be introducing each team as our candidates present their presentation. The next phase of Unlocked was sitting a multi-talented and well-rounded panel of judges. We expect to award $50,000 today. Therefore, it was essential that our judges had the highest of principles. Our judges will be scoring each presentation on an established criteria such as need, purpose, goals, presentation, timeline, as well as budget. There are funding requests that the funding requests are reasonable, allowable, and necessary. The judges can fund one project or all projects. It depends on the score of the presentation. There's a lot to consider, and we really appreciate our judges very much. And they are James Myers, who is the Vice President of the Educational Foundation, Peggy Fuller, who is a retired educator, and she's on the foundation board, Mark Dodd, who is our chairman for Lake County Schools, Greg Lewis from the United Southern Bank, Stephanie Strong from Electric Services, Bob McKee. We all write a check to Bob McKee, don't we? Our tax collector. Bud Butcher from Mission Inn Resort and Club, County Commissioner Wendy Breeden, Karen Bent, who is president of Karen L. Bent Trust Administrative Services, Inc., and Lillian Lockett, who is retired SunTrust Bank and the foundation president. So thank you very much once again, judges. It's time to get started. The format of today's event is very simple. Each candidate will have 10 minutes to convince these judges that their product is achievable, sustainable, and will meet the needs of our students. Next comes the Q&A, where the judges can ask questions of the candidates. There will be no timeline for the judges' questions. Finally, the judges will have a few minutes to make notes while we're getting for the next team to be able to present. And as I mentioned, we have changed the blind hat pull, and Wendy Hill Middle will be going first. Her dream team was Kurt Benny and Bill Mathias. And Kimberly, you're up.
Good afternoon. My name is Kimberly Breeding. I am the proud culinary arts teacher at Windy Hill Middle School. It's my 6th year teaching at the middle school, culinary arts. I have a 20-year history in the culinary industry, and I brought some of my students with me. I have Jason and Emily. They are currently in the program right now. And Tyler graduated from Windy Hill last year, and he was part of our first food truck wars last year, which actually stemmed into the grant we are hoping for today. A little bit about our program. Our program is a career and technical education program. It gives kids job skills and leadership skills, but it's preparing them for high school starting in middle school and carries them through high school and gets them ready whether they choose a college or a career path. And with my class, our students are able to obtain an industry certification in culinary through the National Registry for Food Safety Professionals. This is a college level examination we're giving in middle school, and it helps people see that they truly understand the importance of safety and sanitation in the industry. It gives them a leg up in the competition for job searching, and it's helping them once they get into high school as well and pursue culinary arts. Our presentation today is to show you where our program started. Our program started 3 years ago with a cafe, and it's blossomed into starting a food truck wars, and here we are today hoping to start a full program with an actual food truck, and hopefully with your assistance we can move that forward and really give a real world experience for first and Lake County middle schools. And I would like to start our presentation with a video created by my first year students in the Wolf Cafe, and they did this to showcase what they do in our classroom, not only to the school but to the teachers as well, because that's who they serve, and they were extremely proud of what they do. approached Mr. Roberts, our principal at the time, going into year 3 of the program itself, and I expressed to him that I wanted to create something that wasn't an everyday classroom. I wanted to give them an experience. I wanted them to make it a job, because that's how they're going to learn the best in this kind of environment, because the material is not a home ec material, it is industry material they're learning. And I gave them full ownership of this cafe, and they kind of ran with it. They decide who does what jobs, what menus they create, they find the recipes, they really, they work this job. By the second year, I wanted to move it even further, and I attended a professional learning and decided I wanted to create the food truck for my kids. And it tied in with their standards for certification. They had to start with the concept of what kind of food truck they wanted to do, something original. They had to start with creating a handbook, and it had to cover all the aspects: cooking procedures, storing procedures, what did their employees have to wear. They had to cover the whole gamut of their job. From there, they did market surveys. They had to cost out how much their food items were, how much were they going to charge. They priced out how much a food truck would cost to start up with permits and business licenses. They did investor letters. They even did mock investor meetings with our administrators. They even got involved with the whole process. Throughout the whole thing, the kids were still learning the material they needed to learn. They were working through the cafe, working on their job skills, communication skills, leadership skills. All that builds into running a business is what that class is really all about, not just a classroom for them. Our food truck was towards the end of the school year, and it was a huge undertaking, and we invited not only our school, we also invited business members, community members, school board members, and it was beyond our wildest dreams, the success we had. And the kids set up tables outside in our courtyard with the food trucks, some of the ones you see up front, and they set up their little businesses, and the members that came and supported us, they walked around with ballots and voted, and the kids had to present their ideas and talk to them about what they created, why they created it. It was a full immersion experience for our students and went very well. This video is showing how our kids operate in our class day to day. They work as a group. They decide what they're going to do. They come up with ideas. They love to expand and try new things. They don't like to go for the obvious. And if they don't know what a theme might be or what kind of cuisine it is, they're quick to jump on the computers, research. They find the recipes. They decide who's going to cook that week, and then next week, whoever cooked does something else. In the first couple of weeks of the school year with our Culinary 2 kids, which is right now 8th grade, they work on the cafe as a delivery. So they package the food, and then they deliver it to the teachers. And then after they're comfortable with that, we actually open our classroom up for the teachers to come in and dine with the students to give that full restaurant experience where the kids not only are practicing their culinary skills for the back of the restaurant, but they're also working in the front of the restaurant. So they're working on serving, they're hostessing, they're greeting people when they come through the door, they're writing the checks, they're taking care of their bills and the cash. They get that whole experience. Most of these kids, when they get to high school, their first job is going to be in the restaurant doing something. They're already getting this experience in middle school before they even touch high school, which is so important for them. These are skills that can carry on beyond home, and that's a big deal for us. One of our frequent buyers. This year with our program, we're expanding. We're collaborating with our drama and chorus department. We've actually started doing a banquet. Our first banquet this year was for 300 people, and they got to work in the cafeteria, which was a huge thrill for them because they're used to working in our regular little home ec kitchens, and they did amazing. They're learning how to deal with bulk amounts of food, not small amounts. So we're just pushing them even further, and they want to do this. They're very excited to learn more and more of what they're capable of doing. With this food truck grant, it's going to enhance our students' skills, taking what they're already doing now and taking it to the public, showing them what our school is doing and what middle schoolers are capable of. It's also going to increase certifications, which is what we want to do with our kids. We want them to be job ready. We're also increasing at our school the classes we're offering for culinary too, by 2 or 3 classes next year. I already spoke about our collaboration with drama and chorus. We're also collaborating with our world champion robotics team to look at solar energy for our food truck to make it even safer for middle schoolers, so we don't have to look at propane or a generator for them. We want to make it as safe as possible. We can increase education by 16 days in a school year for them by giving on-the-job skill learning. So we're taking the learning and making it mobile for them. And Windy Hill Middle School, we're the largest middle school in the county, and we feed into 3 of South Lake high schools, all which have culinary programs. So we're getting them started ready and early, so when they move in, they already have the foundation they need. These are our benefits. We just talked about a lot of them. Our school is 100% behind us. They support us. We have the support of our administration. Without them, we wouldn't be standing here today. And our program, it is sustainable. Without it, we wouldn't have our program. Starting out 12 events a year, averaging 100 customers, taking in our sales and what we need to maintain, we could average around $6,000 a year. That's more than enough to help us maintain our program and grow it. And that's what we want to do. We can make our program something that could be followed by everybody else. That's what I work for, my kids. So, thank you. Questions?
Okay. Go ahead, Wendy.
A couple of questions. One of the things I liked in the description was the competition with your baked trucks and your tables. So how, with one food truck, how are you going to continue the competition?
We would. I think it's really good for the kids, not just as a competition purpose, but it really pushes them to be thinking outside of the box. And food trucks are very in right now, and it's where everything is going. It's not just a standstill idea. And with our food truck, it wouldn't be just a one show idea. We could rotate it each semester. Maybe we're focusing on desserts the first semester, and then maybe we can focus on salads and sandwiches the next semester. There's a really endless thing, and a lot of those ideas can come from their competitions. They have amazing ideas. So that just fuels everything for what we're doing throughout the year.
Okay, and I liked, you had a very detailed budget, which was neat to see what you wanted to put on inside of it, but it looked like a lot of the equipment was on wheels. How would you, was that intended for the food truck itself or for something else?
It's versatile. If we have a food truck, we can use it in the food truck. If we didn't receive a food truck, but we receive some of the equipment, it's mobile in our classroom, and we can use it however we need to. We can make a mock-up food truck in our classroom and practice with it, and then try for a real food truck, and then we can move it in. So
Okay, I guess the question is, basically, if you were awarded the food truck, would you be able to use equipment in the food truck on a
Yes.
permanent basis?
Yes, because
Okay.
they do lock. All the
Okay,
equipment does lock anything that's on wheels.
Okay.
And that helps with cleaning out the food truck too, because it does need to be maintained, and you do need to do a good scrub and cleaning on it. So being able to remove that and clean well, it does help.
okay. One last question, sorry. I noticed you were gonna do it for school events. Did you consider doing it for community events, like Pig on the Pond or some other
Absolutely.
things like
I
that?
thought for the first year, especially to make sure everybody is comfortable and we know how everything works, I think for our first year, doing with the school and seeing how it's received and what we need to tweak on would be a great start. And our goal would be to do Ping on the Pond and First Fridays and really get our name out there and make a brand for ourselves and show what our community, what we're doing for our kids and how we're preparing them. Orlando, we're the big tourism, and food is a part of that. So we're preparing our kids for that now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Where are you going to get your truck? If you get if you were given the money, where do you get a real food truck?
I have been shopping around looking at trucks. They're they're kind of all over. So there are places in Orlando that sell food trucks. And my kids last year, Tyler was in the class last year that started this project, and they found food trucks that were based in Orlando, already set up with everything you need. Some are around the state, so we would try to find a food truck that was pretty local, because with transporting costs, we need to look at that as well. We don't want to have to spend a lot of money transporting from Tampa to get it to here to Claremont. We want to find something that's very local.
Have you looked into insurance for
We
being
ta-
that's mobile?
Not currently. My principal, Mr. Roberts, he's been working with me to help. We've talked with risk management as well, helping us figure out all of those logistics.
Okay, because that's not in your budget, so I just wondered.
Whose property would the food truck be? Is it the
School
school board?
property.
School board's property, so it would probably fall under their insurance, and they would have to incur some more costs on top of what you have here, okay? And you're saying that you want the truck to be mobile if it goes to Pig in the Pond or it does other things like that,
Mhm.
so somebody responsible, would have to be licensed, get the approval to be able to
Correct.
take it and go, okay.
Would be me.
I've got a couple questions,
Sure.
easy ones.
Okay.
The equipment that you spec'd out, you backed into that equipment based on menu design. So can you tell me what type of menu design you have in terms of your concept for your food truck? What type of food are you selling out of your food truck?
As I had stated a little earlier, we would like the idea to be able to manipulate the menu maybe every semester, so we're not tied into one, like a barbecue truck or a sandwich truck. So a lot of our food would be prepped and made ahead of time. So a lot of our equipment is made to hold food so it stays cold, to keep it warm. And that way it gives us a little more flexibility that we could offer different types of food. So the kids wouldn't necessarily have to worry about using a fryer, because that is way too dangerous for them, and having mobile ovens and things like that. It's more about having that versatility for them. To still have the creativity, but not like we do with our cafe right now, where we change it every week. This is something we could do monthly or yearly. I like to give them a lot of that say as well.
Sure, and as a follow-up to my question, is there a reason why you're requesting 2 mixers as opposed to, say, a stovetop? In your video, for example, the children were working with a stovetop. Is there a reason why you've got 2 mixers and no stovetop, as an example?
Not really. Let me just take a
You got a
glance real quick.
10-quart and a 20-quart. Both
Most
co-
for volume. But like, again, with the stovetop, a lot of our stuff we want to cook ahead of time, until the kids are very comfortable, and maybe down the line, maybe include a stovetop. We want to make it safe for them.
Mhm.
So some things we don't necessarily need to start. So a lot of it is safety
Sure,
issues.
sure. Okay, thank you.
So just as a follow-up to that, some of the equipment that you're talking about wouldn't necessarily be for the food truck, because it would, if you're going to prep the food in the classroom or somewhere else, and then transport it to the truck and then transport it to the event, correct?
I have a question. The 4 priority areas that the projects must fall into, one of 4 or more, are you familiar with those 4 areas? Let me tell you what they are. They're literacy, STEM, graduation rates, and low-performing students. And the prerequisites for this are that your proposal has to fall within one of those categories or more. Which one of those do you foresee this falling into?
I think it touches on all of
I
them.
couldn't quite make the connection.
I think ours touches on everything. Our class touches on every class our kids take in school.
How is it a STEM project?
STEM deals with technology, it deals with
Right.
mathematics, it deals with science. Cooking is math and science. Baking is a science. And we tie a lot of that, what they learn in class, we tie it into our classroom in one way or another. We try to tie technology in as much as we can. We talk about including robotics into our class with the solar energy. I think that's a big thing for us. That's a big safety key for us as well. And with our students, we have a lot of lower students at our school too, where we're situated. So I see, we have 1,400 students at our school right now. I get almost 300 of those students come through my class as of right now. So I touch a lot of kids in our school with what we're able to do. So our class touches every one of those.
I couldn't reconcile how it met any of those criteria. Your answer was good.
Thank you.
If I can jump back, sorry, two over. You don't have a cash register in your food truck?
No.
And
I have a register in my room currently.
so that'll be put
So
in
I already
your-
have one,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
And let there be no question that he's the guy that would ask the money question.
There's no bartenders in the room, are there? They all steal.
I got a question. Did you factor in, because you said you wanted this to be solar at some point, or that's the goal?
That would be a goal because of the safety feature. We want they are middle schoolers, so we do want them to be safe.
So if you factored in what the power draw on some of these things, like the convection oven, for example, would be
I'm
on a
actually working
generator versus a
currently
solar
with
powered.
our robotics teacher to start figuring out what kind of wattage we're looking at and what kind of panels we will need. So we're actually in the process of talking through and see what that would cost and what that would look like. And that might determine maybe what some of those would run. That might change some of the things as well.
We'll change what's prepped ahead of time and what gets on the
Correct.
truck, right? Okay.
Going back to the truck that you want to buy,
Yes.
they are pre-owned, correct?
Most are,
Mhm.
because
And
it saves money that way, and some are in really good condition.
Do you have in your school those that learn how to fix things, fix motors and stuff?
Not yet. We don't have any department like that, with students anyway.
'Cause you have to budget
We
that
have
in
the
otherwise,
maintenance
and
and
gas
things
and-
like that.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe that could be donated.
Yeah.
Now, there are other high schools, for instance, that have
We do.
those programs, the auto, as
And-
well as Lake Tech. Have you spoken with any of them about any sort
not
of
currently.
partnerships?
We would love to include other high schools and things in this project. We could create mentorships. And I mean, it could really encompass and bring all the schools together, which is, I mean, our kids touch a lot of schools. So it's a great way to bring previous students back to work in and keep it in a family idea, so.
One of my questions was about the sustainability of it, and looking at your budget, which you presented, which I think focuses primarily on the food and generating the income and the revenue back from that. But the other piece of that is, how do we make sure that this vehicle is reliable enough that it's not going to consume all your resources and just kind of sit in the parking lot?
Wouldn't sit. We're gonna use it.
But I mean, in terms of the maintenance, that some repairs could end up being very costly.
Right.
And
And I think, partnering with other schools will help with that cost. I think having the solar energy would help with some of that cost as well. It will take some of the wear and tear out of the use. I also think that in our first year, because most of the part would still be on the school campus, so we're not doing that much wear and tear with it because we're getting used to how it operates, especially with the students. As you move forward, we're also saving up that money too. So besides that food truck, we're also doing other things in our program to generate money because we're not a funded program. So we need to find ways to find funding to make our program last and stay in the schools for the kids. So this is just one aspect, and this is a huge aspect for our kids. So we have ways of making sure it stays maintained.
As a follow-up to the question, I don't know, maybe others in the audience know it, but the failure rate in the restaurant business is huge.
It is.
And first of all, our industry needs workers, so good for you,
Thank you.
good for us. But and by no means is my comment kind of a question, by any means criticism. It's intended to be helpful.
Right.
Have you looked at a P&L statement? I know you flashed something up on the board, 5 or 6 lines of revenue versus cost.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done anything that would have some form of detail to it?
Right.
You still have, to some extent, labor, you have supplies, you've got food cost, goods sold. You'll have energy costs. You're not gonna run those refrigerators or that convection oven without a generator.
Right.
You know, have you done that? Have you run that for your students? Because to Bob's point, those are very good exercises for your children as it relates to math.
Right.
And all those things. So I'm asking, have you run those, have your students participated?
We haven't done that yet. That's in the cards, so we're working
I understand.
towards that stuff.
Good, okay.
How fast can you get this up and running if you were awarded the grant?
If we're awarded the grant, one of the stipulations for having students work this, they need to have that certification. That's an important detail, because without that, you're just letting anybody work in there. They're actually taking, these two are taking their certification December. So they'll be taking that certification. I also have students that graduated last year that want to come back and still participate with the kids and still work with the class that have their certification. So we could even have it started before then, because they get hours and community service, so they could be working with us too to get it up and running. So we could have it up and running before Christmas.
What is that certification?
It's, last year, we did the Serve Safe certification. This year, it's through the National Registry for Food Safety Professionals. And what the certification is, the majority of food service workers are required to have an industry certification stating they understand the importance of safety and sanitation in the culinary industry and how they're able to apply it to any situation. It's college level. I took it in college, and we're giving it to them in middle school, which is pretty impressive
Yeah,
for
it
us.
is.
This is our third year giving the certification. Right now, it's currently just one class we have, but next year, we're actually looking to add 2 or 3 total Culinary 2 classes next year to increase those certifications each year, to have more kids ready to go. And the certifications last 5 years. So by senior year of high school, they would be able to retake the test, and we pay for the cost. So it's no cost to the students.
Wonderful.
And it gives them a leg up when they start looking for jobs. It makes them very impressive
Yeah, that's
over
now,
somebody that
and
doesn't.
what about also going to further their, education in a culinary school?
Absolutely.
Doesn't that have an impact on
It
that?
does, because it shows they know the basics. They already have a good understanding of what is expected of somebody that works around food. Whether it be a line cook, a manager, they have that understanding.
To do such a certification at the middle school level, certainly, no doubt, is challenging. How have you seen your pass rates trend over the last few years? Are you seeing an improvement over time?
A slight improvement. The test has gotten a lot harder. Serve Safe really changed last year. It got very challenging last year for the kids, and that was kind of across the country we saw. So this year, it was determined by the CTE program, the Career and Technical Education program, that for the middle school students, we try the National Registry test this year. They were seeing more of a success rate with the middle school students, and then leaving the Serve Safe for when they enter high school. So this year is going to be, they're going to be the first class taking this test in the winter.
I want to ask this only because we have another presentation coming up that's very similar to yours.
Yes.
This is a middle school food truck. We will have a high school food truck presentation later.
Yes.
I'm going to ask the same question of both. Does it make more sense to have this concept at a middle school or at a high school, in your opinion?
That's okay.
I don't know what she's going to say.
Say middle.
I do think it's middle school. I'm going to fight for my kids. They are very capable of doing what a high school child can do, and I think that's been proven. These kids are determined to do whatever is thrown at them, and I haven't given them a challenge they haven't been able to do, and I don't think that their middle school should stop that from being considered for this grant. And they're in middle school, so they're moving up to the high school. High school is getting ready to leave. So, I mean, this is something that can carry them on. And many of the kids don't always get culinary in high school. So I'm the only person they'll see for that. And I think that's really important. And Tyler, for example, I'm going to use Tyler. He was in my program for 2 years. They take me for a semester, and then they can take me for the year. He didn't get culinary in high school, but he's got so much knowledge from my class that he can cook at home and take care of himself, and he's got skills that he doesn't get because he doesn't get the culinary class now. But he has that knowledge, and they are very capable of having this.
Do you foresee this as kind of a springboard to working in a relationship with the high schools then, where the high
I
school
think that would be a
either
great
share
combination.
the food truck between the middle schools and the high schools? And
That's where I would like the mentorship to come in. We can work together with this, and it could become something really amazing where it's a platform for other middle schools to combine with their high schools and really make this something amazing that Lake County becomes known for.
Would it be appropriate to ask the kids what kind of impact the culinary program has had on you guys?
That was
Ask
my next
away.
question. Fantastic.
Ask away.
To read my mind.
Let us know what kind of impact the culinary program has had on each of you.
So, it kind of ties into my family a lot too. My parents want me to cook more because they don't want to do it. So, they're always begging me.
I like that
"Can you-"
concept.
They know I can because of all of the amazing experience that I've gained from creating an awesome class throughout the past couple of years. And so they're always asking me, they're like, oh my God, can you cook for me? Can you cook for me? I'm like, I can cook because of this awesome experience that I've gained from the culinary arts field in middle school.
What are your favorite things to cook?
Oh God, it ranges from the cultures of food to just the types of food. I like spaghetti. We did chicken Alfredo in her class. That was my favorite. That was easily my favorite one. So spaghetti, and then there's also we did tacos. We did quesadillas. Those are my favorites. It varies.
And they learn from scratch. We don't do box food in there. We don't like boxes.
Next. Okay, yep.
Well, I walked into middle school not really knowing what I was going to do in my life, right? 6th grade was just a blur. I was a slacker, all that stuff. 7th grade, when I went to ingredients class, I instantly loved the class. I loved learning about the food. I loved, cooking the food for my first time. And, after my semester classes, only semester, I instantly wanted to do food. I wanted to learn how to cook food. I wanted to be a professional. And, and I then entered advanced culinary, so. But definitely had a good impact in my life to have a food truck with me because, that'll propel my love, for the cooking industry.
So in 5th grade, I knew about the culinary program, and ever since then I wanted to join this greetings classroom. And I've always loved cooking. Cooking has always been something that I've loved to do. You can ask my mom. And she always asked me to cook for things. And culinary has impacted my love for cooking in general. And if I am going to go into the culinary college career, then this would be a great impact on that.
Done. I have a comment and one more question. And the comment is, most adults that would stand there and respond to an impromptu question
Right.
wouldn't do nearly the job that you three just did. So the passion for this really shows through. The other question is, in licensing, leaving campus for off-campus activities, what
Yes.
do you contemplate as your licensing needs?
We do need to have any parents that volunteer. They do have to be a level 2 volunteer, and all the licensing and anything like that. Mr. Roberts is going to help with finding out what exactly we need to have, especially through the risk management, because it is taking kids off of campus. So we want to make sure that safety is the key with these kids. So we do have parents that are very involved and they want to be a part of their kids' education, and so we want to incorporate them as much as possible. And a lot of the kids, their parents are in the industry, so that's a big plus for us.
Well, if you're fortunate enough to move forward with this, and my office can help you in any way with the licensing, we deal with them on a routine basis, we would be more than happy to help.
That would be amazing.
One more thing.
Yes.
We're hitting you up for a cash.
How much we award, we're not sure yet, because you have 35,700 plus. If we gave you a smaller amount, would you still be able to
We would make
work on
it
your
work.
program? Okay.
We can make it work. I will make anything work for my students because it's for them. It's not for me, it's for them.
I think that's a pretty compelling question. Last year when we did this, we had the opportunity to break it down a little with partial funding. This doesn't seem like one that would be successful with partial funding. So how would we address that?
I think, not to put words in your mouth, but earlier, did you say if you couldn't get the truck, you could still use the equipment?
We could still find a
Or-
way, we could set up a mock truck in our room so the kids could still have that experience.
I like your mock trucks, they're cute.
And that, Tyler's is on the end. But we could make it work and then we'll try again next year for the truck.
But if they didn't get the full amount, there are other avenues to pursue. There's plan giving, a lot of organizations, charitable organizations would be willing to look at this. And, that could be, we could help you with that.
And there's people out there like Rich Billings and Bill
Yeah.
Mathias with big check.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Even, they don't have to be charitable organizations. They can be wealthy people like those two.
You did a wonderful job, kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
All right, our second presentation is going to be by Chef Tim Hobbs and Chef Jennifer Wallach from Mount Dora High. Their dream team was Mr. Mike DeGraw, Ms. Mandy Wetstein, and Mr. Scott Smith, with a special assist from Bill Mathias.
Maybe Redstein, gosh, does she ever?
Do you have to go through BPR for licensing for food truck? You actually have to.
Who are we now?
Welcome, Chef Hobbs.
Very good presentation.
This is
So he's sitting there. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, they want a student-run food. Must be popular this year.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chef Hobbs, and this is Chef Wallach. We're from the Mount Dora High School Culinary Arts Program. We have about 225 to 250 students in our culinary program currently. We run a program that actually gets the students ready for jobs in the field. We train them in Serve Safe. We also have like a commercial kitchen that we work out of at our school. It has everything that you'd find in everyday kitchens in our community. We have an advisory board that of restaurant professionals and stuff that are on board that we speak to twice a year, and they give us input on what we should be teaching the children, from everything from like soft skills and also to job employability skills. They also help us with purchasing equipment, like deciding what equipment that we should supply our students to work on and stuff like that. You want to go ahead and click for me? So I have a little presentation up here for us. Hit X. Up there on the, see on the blue, present, the plate. There you go, cool. And just hit the next one. Okay. All right, so go ahead and click. Okay, so on our menu, so this is where we started. Our concept is basically to, if you want to click ahead, we have our mission statement. So our goal is to provide a food truck, so it provides hands-on real life work experience for the opportunities for our high school students, okay? And also, like, we have a Mount Dora Middle School, and that feeds into our program. So we can also work with them, have them shadow with the older students, like helping them prep for the truck in our kitchen, and allow them to kind of see where they're going to go, so where they feed into our program. And also to have the students actually teach the younger students. We find that, like, a lot of times that the students, like, will do a lot better if they teach, if they learn from their peers and stuff like that. They learn a lot better. So our students can actually feed into the minds of the Mount Dora students and help them along the way. Click. Okay. So we're collaborating our program, our project of the food truck with our culinary arts department, obviously. We have an architectural drafting class in our school. So what we're going to do is we're going to get with the architectural drafting class, and they're going to actually help us, like, mock up the truck. So in our program, we have, like, we have some, like, quotes from places, but what we can do is we can get architectural drafting to actually, like, design the inside of the truck and use that part as a project. So we actually include the drafting students in creating the stuff. We'll have business professionals come out, and they'll show them the coding and stuff like that, so when they do mock it up, it's to specs, and then we just send it off to the manufacturer to get it made for us. We have a digital design class in our school, and we're going to include them in there, and they will actually help us with, like, designing the wrap and also designing the flyers and things like that. We have a marketing class that's new this year, and we're going to use a marketing class to help us market it to the public. We also have agriculture, and we're going to include the agriculture on there as helping us provide, like, fresh herbs and things, and then grow on that from as it gets bigger and stuff. Also, like, using them to find local ingredients and things that can supply our food truck. Math classes, we can use math classes and stuff like that. They'll use those for like helping us analyze the profit and loss, and going over things like that. So we can use that as a model for a project for them. Using business leaders to help us out. Like I said, we have, like, chefs from our Mount Dora area that help us a lot in our advisory business, and using them, I've reached out to, like, Alex Gandy. He's the head chef at Pisces Rising, and he'd like to come and help the kids with it and stuff alongside of us. We plan on being, like, the local communities, and then post-secondary institutions. We have, like, articulations with all the Lake Tech and also, like, Kaiser. And then professional organizations, we offer, like, help with the students, like, to get, like, networking. So we also are members of the ACF, so we get them involved too. Our plan is to create regional menus that are created by the culinary students. So, like, we have, like, in the back, we kind of have, like, a sample, like, business, like, a project that they can work on, and they can get better as the levels they go, because we have, like, Culinary 1, Culinary 2, and Culinary 3. So they can start and they can get more advanced as they go. But by the time they get to level 3 and 4, they're ready to actually, like, work on the truck and provide the food. So they get to see, like, all aspects of it. And then the menu can be designed and printed by the digital design students. Our marketing, they're going to be like our brand ambassadors. We're trying to be a destination school, like they said, you know, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get into the community. A lot of times, like, we get a lot of people in the community, they say, like, oh, culinary arts, that's, like, kind of like a home ec class, you know what I mean? So we like to show them that we actually have skills. So it kind of like, it shows that we're bridging that gap where from high school into, say, like, working in the field like a career. So these students are going to be actually ready, because when they're out in the public and they're actually serving these local community, they're seeing that they're actually ready to be in the workforce. You know what I mean? They're providing stuff that's on the same par as, like, the local community, okay, as these restaurants. Go ahead and click. running the operation. So some of the events that we like to participate into, everyone knows like Mount Dora is like known for all the festivals. I think there's one every weekend, it seems like. So they have the big arts and craft festival. We'd love to be a part of that. Quite a bit of people come down for that. So and we kind of have like a kind of a corner way. We have the buses that bus all the people down in there, and so and the Mount Dora food trucks, they do a rally every Thursday, or one Thursday a month. So we have like those. We figure we can, if we did all those, we'd have like 10 of those events that we can do a year. And then class and club fundraising, we can work with classes and clubs and help them do stuff. Also like football players, like, things like just to help other organizations that are in our school. And then we'll also provide revenue for our culinary program. The things that we like to use the money for and stuff like that is to get more food and stuff, more stuff that the kids can actually work with, different variety of stuff. We can't always afford lobster and stuff, or see how to like shuckle a bunch of clams, or things like that. So we like to be able to provide more experience. The more the kids see stuff, more learning that they get to they provide to them. You want to click? Our goals. So the goal is the students can analyze the P&L, so they can actually they can look at each time that we run the business and see how well we did, and we can compare it to the last times. We can go from there and we can learn how to adjust it. So the kids actually get these like entrepreneurial skills and some stuff like that. So they'll be solving the real problems. So if we have problems like of how things went, they get to actually come up with a solution to it, and then they get to work on that. They practice their employability skills. We currently run a cafe. The students, the way it was set up was like for the community members to come in, but nowadays like it's harder for the community to come in because they have to check in the front office and come all the way down. So it'd be a lot better for us to like be able to provide for the community if we're out in the community. So they get to practice more employability skills and serve larger numbers of people. They also get a network with employers that are out there, because the employers are going to be out walking around in these places. They're going to see them. They're going to see what they're doing, see what they're capable of. And then it increases the community involvement. The more that we put our name out there, the more the community is going to be more likely to be involved in our school and making it more of a destination school. And it's also going to create enthusiasm with students and teachers. We already have like a really good enthusiasm from our school and our students. They're excited about the possibilities of having another way to show that they're to practice their skills and try new things. And teachers are also pretty ecstatic. You want to click? So, in your folders, we have our business plan. Our goal is to have roughly do about 25 events a year, starting off, and then it can go up from there. Our forecast is basically if we did 500 meals at one of these big events like the craft festival and art festivals at $750 a head, we could probably actually pull in numbers of sales in around $90,000, and then if we pull off a 30% revenue off of that, we can actually make about $30,000 a year to help sustain the program and keep it running. I think actually after the first initial event, it'll actually keep itself going, so that we can keep generating income and not having to get more money for that.
Tim, I think we're on question and answer.
Okay, perfect.
So this truck will be a brand-new truck with it
It's
fully,
actually going to be a trailer, and it's fully equipped with all the equipment.
a trailer, meaning it has to be transported. I
Transported.
think you have a transport cost there.
Yeah.
I see that you have collaboration with a lot of the other departments
Mhm.
when you were putting your plan together. So do you have buy-in from all of these departments?
Yes, I do.
love the idea of growing your own herbs, and you got everybody to design team. Because one of the things I was thinking is how you're going to market this. So working with the other departments is excellent. So you already have the buy-in of
Ye- Yeah, we do. We meet I would say twice a month with our CTE department. We all pretty much get together and we do our P&Ls, like, our PLCs together. We all get together and we all talk about, like, how we can work together and
Save some money.
save some money. And we also do this stuff all the time. We do a large gala event every year, and we work with a drafting class, and they draft mocks of restaurants, and we make restaurants, and we do a big gala event where we do testings for the community.
In your written presentation, you talked about local ingredients and tying that back to the community. Can you give some examples of that?
There's, like I said, we're one of our advisory members is Alex Gandia, and he prides himself a lot on doing that, local ingredients and stuff like that. And as I was talking to him, like, he was talking about a lot of the farms he works with, like, I think it's Sugar Top Farms, and also I think it's McGregor's, like, for the herbs and stuff. But like I said, or the sprouts and things like that. But herbs also getting the local ag to do that. But like, I think it's good to show that the kids that, like, this is sustainability and the local ingredients, using that stuff, because that's where our industry is going. So I like to see that they start at a early level, like, so that when they go into the other jobs and stuff like that, they understand the importance of it. They're gonna, right now we were planning, like, hopefully to take some trips out to these farms like this year and stuff like that, but they had a little bit of trouble with the hurricanes and stuff, so they weren't wanting visitors this year, so but we're looking into visiting them. We also have a good relationship with Stokes Seafood in Leesburg. Chef Wallach and myself, we did a demonstration out there this summer for our students and stuff, and they're already, like, donating to our program and stuff. So we're working with them, so they get local seafood around at least from Florida and stuff, So we're going to work with them, and they've already offered to, like, help out. So.
Is this setup on this trailer basically a kitchen, and then you take everything back outside, or does it pop up somehow like a food truck would do?
Yeah,
or-
there'd be a window on one side and a window on the end of it. So
That opens.
That opens. Both
Okay.
sides open. So, like, one side you'd have, like, a order, and then the other side would be a pickup, or you can run out of both sides.
And so when you go out into the community and do these events that you're naming off in here, is that more like considered a field trip type thing for the students? Is that how it's classified, I guess?
That's how we'd set it up as, like, a field trip. We'd have the students get their permission from their parents and have their insurance on file, and we'd fill out a insurance form and get it approved by all the ways.
Also, our kids, when we do events, they earn community hours. And one of the things that we really work with our guidance department and our students on is the Bright Futures scholarships. For our students that are completers, they've completed 3 years in our program. And so they're able to earn those hours towards getting those scholarships, and those are across the board in Florida colleges. And I also want to, I'm sorry to interrupt, I want to emphasize that our goal here is, yes, we want our students to have these experiences. We want them to take what they've learned and move it into the workforce. Working with local chefs, there is a need out there to have employees with work ethics, and in the back of your program is our soft skills. And there is a great need in Lake County and in this field, and I think this is where our country and our future is going. And so we want to provide them the experiences and that those skills, so that not only if they don't go into culinary, that's okay, but they have those skills that apply in leadership, responsibility, and all those things that are listed. So, thank you.
Just for clarification, did you say 45 events or 4 to 5?
No, 25 events for the
25.
year. So we
Okay.
figure if we did the Mount Dora food trucks, that's 10 of the events. If we
Okay.
one a month for 10 months, that the school year's in. And then Mount Dora, we have a lot of other events that we can do for, like, the Mount Dora Arts and Crafts Festival. Those are 2 events, which would be, like, 4 days right there. And then also they also have the Bike Fest and all those other events, the Blueberry Fest, all those events that they have in Mount Dora. And that's just reaching into Mount Dora. If we want to go into other school, other cities in this county, Eustis has the First Friday. Also, Leesburg does the food trucks. So there's a lot of events that we can attend to in this county.
And whose vehicle's going to pull that?
We put in there that we can use a fee to rent a vehicle if we need to. And I've been looking around in the county to see if we have a vehicle that can do it. They're checking on the CTE vehicle if it'll pull it.
Okay. And have all the kids left? Could we hear from a few of them?
Come right out.
Do they also receive certification?
Yes, we do the ServSafe certification, the manager's level. We also give them lower level certifications if they haven't got that. We step them up as they go. The ServSafe manager level, it's not like preparing them just to work in a kitchen, it's preparing them to be a manager in the kitchen. So they need to know everything from, facility design to keeping the rodents out. They need to know everything. So they're going to be the ones that are managing people, so when they get that. And currently we have last year we had a 50% pass rate, so that the kids that we tested, which is pretty good. So we, by the time they get to their senior level, after having like 4 years of culinary, more than likely they have that certification when they graduate. That's our goal, is to have every single one of them have a certification.
So could each of you students just kind of briefly tell us what kind of impact the program has had on you?
ServSafe looks really good on a resume, and I really like the program. So I go to every event. This is like my club, basically.
Well, like Clayton said, ServSafe looks really good on your resume, and Culinary it really helped me prepare for my job, like in the food industry. It showed me it showed me yeah, it showed me but it had the same things that's in the job, like the fry station, the grill, and it gave me some experience with those.
I personally don't have a job, but being in the program showed me a lot about food that I didn't know that I loved so much. And so I'll definitely look into the food industry and look forward to it, because this has helped me out a lot to train for it, working everything. And yeah. Okay.
And it's definitely helped me get a job. I got a job almost a year ago at Scoops. I'm certified, so that also was a great help. It helped me just look good on my resume. It helps deal with stress, because we have our own cafe, so it helps us know what to do when we don't have too much food or not enough food. It just helps us in life and learn how to make our own food if we don't have anything, so it's great.
Do all of you cook at home?
Yeah, I bake.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go on, Chops Junior.
I'm going to ask the same question I asked for your predecessor, because you're competing against a middle school that also wants a food truck. So does it make more sense to have this type of concept at a middle school or a high school, and why?
Well, I think it can be beneficial at both levels, to be honest. I would love to see that all the middle schools have one of those. The more experience they get, by the time they get to me, the more farther I can take them, is what I think. We look forward to working with our middle school to help them out. They don't always get to make as much funds and stuff, so helping them out would be a great opportunity for us, because they feed into us. I do think that, ever since I started this job about 5 years ago, and it's been my dream to have a food truck for them to do it, because that's where the excitement is. That's where kids see the stuff. They see the cool stuff that they get to cook on there, and that's what's exciting about it. So if we can use that to get them excited about it, then it bridges that gap, like I said, for employment, because our area needs cooks. It's a struggling. I left for a little bit teaching, and I went back in the field. And the reason why I came back to this is because I saw the need for cooks. I mean, Disney right now gives a hire-on bonus for cooks. I think they're giving a hire-on bonus for chefs. They're hurting that bad, and it seems to be the only thing that's opening up is a lot of restaurants. So it's only going to get worse. So I'd like to bridge that gap. So if we get these kids a lot more experience and get them showing themselves in the community and getting them networking. We're going to maybe have a chance of keeping a lot of them around here in Lake County and getting them in the field. Because CTE is like huge.
Very good answer. The other question I have is what are the pros and cons versus food truck versus food trailer, concession trailer? I mean, what are the benefits of either or cons of either?
Well, I would say the con of having a food truck would be the cost. Number one, for a food truck is a lot different. You know, you're talking instead of like $50,000 for a trailer, you're talking $80,000 to $120,000 for a truck because you're paying for the engine. You also have the maintenance on that. Maintenance on the trailer will be a lot easier. We have a place to store the trailer at our high school. It's covered, so it'll stay nice and pristine, hopefully. The other thing is obviously the maintenance on the truck would be a lot, you know what I mean, to keep it going and stuff like that. And a lot of times we're going to be driving just from Mount Dora High School right down to Mount Dora. So moving it 3 or 4 blocks is not like a thing that's like a huge deal. You know what I mean? Like, so I think spending, you know, an extra $40,000 or $50,000 on the engine is not something I want to do. I'd rather spend it in like equipment or ways that the kids can actually learn from it than spending it always on that. I figure there's a way that we can get the truck down there, you know what I mean? So.
How quickly can you get this trailer?
I would say we'd like to do it like started by next year, you know what I mean, latest. I would like to like have the drafting
When you say
class.
next year, you mean next school year?
Next school year, yeah. So I want the drafting class to be able to like work on it and draft up like exactly how we want to set it up, you know what I mean? And then they work with the culinary students. So we'll like come up with menus, like quite a few samples of menus because each menu will need different equipment. And we'll figure out which equipment meets a larger amount of different types of food that we can. And then also they'll get a chance to design it and be part of it. So we're hoping for next year as part of it. But get started on the project this year.
The question we had for the previous group as well, in your budget here, it looks like you've got all of your startup costs. What is your expectation for going forward as far as budgeting?
For budgeting, we want to get budget, like we want to start off with like enough to like, so it doesn't cost anything to get it started for the first event. And after that, we want it to sustain itself. We also have a working internal budget that we can buy food off of. And we already have like our you know, companies that we use for food and stuff like that. So we want to be able to just have the beginning startings funds. And then after that, it'll just sustain itself is what our imagination, I imagine it will. There might be a few things that we have to pay extra on or anything like that. We are currently applying for the Mount Dora Community Trust. We signed up for that and everything like that, but they're not currently offering it yet, but we're going to apply there for additional funding. We also have a few of the restaurants that are interested in helping out a lot, so we're hoping that we can get some donations and also, but for our cafe, we kind of sustain ourselves all year, so we imagine that we can support like a month or like a 1 or 2 events if we needed to. So it'll sustain itself, and if we hit our numbers, it can last for a long time.
We did ask the other group, have you given any thought to the possibility of not receiving full funding, receiving partial funding, and at what point you couldn't do the project?
Yeah, that's why we were going to look into the community trust. We already started that application process. When we started this, we noticed that it was already closed the window. We would like to work with them. We also have like funding that we can get into. We do generate funding off of the ServSafe test that is used for equipment. It's also used for extra testing and stuff like that. We also like have our cafe, so we have a little bit of internal funds if we don't get all of it. But we would definitely like apply for other grants for it. It would be something that we'd move on.
Tim, a couple things.
Yeah.
Are you currently collaborating with the Mount Dora Middle School?
Yes, they're part of our advisory group that we meet with the professionals, the industry professionals. We are currently elaborating, and you work with them, right?
I do. Jane Fast is new to Mount Dora Middle School last year, and I've helped her a little bit. They are trying to get into doing some events, and so she's come over and watched us do some catering and things like that. And we are giving her some of our little small wares that she's in need of. So yes, she is definitely on board with, they're very limited. We have a commercial kitchen. We have professional equipment that you would find in any restaurant. And so we're coordinating with them to have a field trip as well to come over and be able to see those things that they don't have at the middle school level.
Do the students participate at any level currently from the middle school up to the high school?
I'm just in the advisory board and then the field trips.
Okay. And then you talked about, Tim, the accounting and wanting the students to be able to read a P&L, but then you also talked about the accounting or the business classes that you offer at Mount Dora being the ones that build your P&L. Will your students be participating in building their own P&L, or are you going to try to outsource that to somebody else? Because that's...
We'd probably work on it with our, we have different levels of classes. So we have like level 1, level 2, level 3. But once you get after level 3 and 4, like 4 becomes like a track management. So they can either choose if they want to go into like a garde-manger, where they're more into molecular gastronomy, or if they want to go into bake shop, or if they want to go into the management side. So we have a few of our students. So it would affect a few of our students that would be doing the P&L, but then we'd also it would be like the math classes and stuff like that that can analyze that stuff for us, to do the math part on it, I guess. Say.
And the last thing is I applaud you for soft skills. It's amazing how challenging it is to see young people come to work late, undressed, half-dressed.
Yes.
Dude.
That's why we have our advisory meetings, because the advisory meetings, like, we get our business people, like we have like quite a few people that are from restaurants. Not only we do it with Eustis, also Eustis is there too. So we get like local restaurants everywhere, because our students, they don't just stay in Mount Dora. They get jobs at Eustis, they get jobs in Leesburg. Maurice, one of the gentlemen, he works in Checkers all the way over in Leesburg. So they go all around. And so when we talk to these advisory boards, that's one of the main things that they say, is the fact that these students don't have the soft skills. You know what I mean? They don't understand about punctuality. They don't understand about resumes. Students always come to me and ask if they can use me for a reference, and I say, do you have a resume? Show me your resume first, and then we'll talk. You know what I mean? Because they need to understand, there's a way to get your job. There's a way to hold your job. There's a way to keep your jobs and stuff, so that you can move on and stuff like that. So the soft skills are a big part of our program that we try to teach all of our students. And by the time they get to be seniors and stuff, you should see the way that they grow. You're just like, it's like your own children, you know what I mean? You're just like so proud of them, because they show those soft skills, and they come back and they say that, hey chef, we got this job over here, and they do good. And we talk to their bosses a lot, and they're doing really well. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They're not, our next presentation comes from Aaliyah Perone and Randall Hall from...
Thank you very much.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Our next presentation comes from the team of Aaliyah Perone and Randall Hall from Fruitland Park Elementary. Sarah, their dream team is Linda Weekly, Cindy Falango, Christy Bullock-Bell, and Sandy Stokes. So please welcome.
be over there.
Dang, I'm getting mixed up.
Are we ready? Hi, I'm Randy Horn. This is Aaliyah Perone, and we're here to talk about a project that we have started at Fruitland Park Elementary School. Aaliyah is a second grade teacher. I'm a volunteer that works with Aaliyah and some other teachers at the school, and the project is called Wild About Science. So we'll start with, Aaliyah, would you like to at least start this first slide?
So as of right now, we are working with our second and third graders in our own classrooms or in the science lab. Mr. Horn brought the idea to Miss Langley, our principal, and we graciously invited him in because he was willing to help us out. And one of the issues that we have when we teach science is it's given a little 20-minute block a couple times a week. And unfortunately, it's something that's more important than 20 minutes a couple times a week. And Mr. Horn came to Miss Langley and said, hey, I would like to help your science teachers out at no cost to them and not taking much of their time. And he and his volunteers helped to design a project that comes in once a week and works with all of our second graders. And this year we added all of our third graders. So it hits, we talked about the four curriculum. Not only is it a science program that covers a majority of the STEM, it is also hitting all of our second and all of our third graders. And we're working with those low performing students, that bottom quartile, to help bring them to where they need to be when it comes to science education. What we're looking to do is to add an outdoor science classroom. We were doing projects outside, but as you know, here in the Florida heat, we like to melt. So one of the things that we are trying to do is to bring the science outside, but do it in a safe way where we don't end up with students that are overheated or volunteers or teachers that are overheated. So we're looking for the grants to help us provide that outdoor classroom. Our program is already there and established, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about that as we go through. But that's what we're looking for, is to establish an outdoor classroom that has the shade that we need so that we can do what we're doing now on a bigger scale and in a better way.
See the second slide. So what we did was, a year ago, started a program that emphasizes hands-on science, discovery-based, at no cost to the school, using volunteers to help teachers do the things that teachers would do if they had the time to do it. So, next slide. In order to make this meaningful, because there's lots of different kinds of science programs. There's enrichment programs that meet after school. We have the most wonderful robotics program in the county, I think, at our school, but it meets after school and it targets kids that are already interested in science. And what we wanted to do was touch all the kids, especially the kids that were low performers. We use recyclable materials to keep the cost very low, and for the added benefit of hoping that the kids, if they get really excited about something, that they can go back to their homes and get their brothers to do it with them, or sisters, or their parents to do it with them. They can recreate science at home. It doesn't have to be something that's really fancy and uses stuff that's unreachable for these kids. So we bring it down to the very lowest level possible, but we keep it tied very tightly to the curriculum and standards of Lake County. Thanks. And the reason we want to be outside is that, first of all, I just think it's neat to get out of the classroom every now and then. The kids love their classrooms, they love their teachers, but it helps reinforce what we're doing as being something exciting, to get them outside those doors, out in the schoolyard, to let them understand that science is something that they can do anywhere. They don't have to go to a special place. We used the sidewalk last year, and we used the sidewalk again this year until it just is so hot. I mean, not today. It's a beautiful day today, but it has been so hot that we've had to move inside. But we want to be outside. One of the things we're trying to do in making science exciting for these kids is to anchor the memory in a way that is different from something they do in the classroom. The teachers work very hard. We've got wonderful teachers at Fruitland Park, and I'm sure all over the county. But what we're doing now isn't working well enough. And so to change it, we thought, we'll just go outside. We'll change it all around. Let's see what's next slide. Aaliyah, you can address this.
So some of our volunteers, we've got a wide range of people that have come, majority of them from the villages, that help Randy out with the program and work with our students. We have a college biology professor, we have a research nurse, a business IT director, several retired school teachers. We'd like to pull in even more volunteers from the community, and that was one of the requirements of this, was involving that community. And those volunteers have constructed nearly 100 hands-on scientific investigations for each grade level. So there's 200 investigations already designed and set up for our second and third graders. And they are working on reaching our fourth graders next year. And so the plan is we're adding that grade level each year. So that first group of second graders, this is their second year having the science program. Next year when they're in fourth grade, they'll have it for a third year. By the time they get to fifth grade, that'll be their fourth year having this program. And so they've got those memories anchored. They've covered the standards thoroughly. And when they go to take their science standard exam, which right now is still called the FCAT, but whatever exam that is at the time, they've got those anchored memories there. They've got that, they've covered the full gamut of the curriculum with hands-on experiences rather than just the textbook experiences. You know, and I have to say, I am a science teacher, and I'm a biology major. I didn't start as a teacher, and I even have trouble fitting in science into my schedule, even though it's my first love, because of all the requirements that are put on us as teachers. So this is a wonderful way that I know every week my kids are getting out there and they're doing something hands-on, and they're learning through their own experience and not from me just showing them something on the board or from me reading to them out of the textbook. It gives them a hands-on experience.
I guess I should add to that they get all the regular instruction that they would normally get in the classroom. And what we want them to do is discover on their own the concepts that you want them to learn. It's not obvious sometimes that what's written in the book is connected to the real world. I know that sounds trivial, but when they discover something by themselves, we believe passionately that they will remember it more clearly and for far longer. This is an example of one of the things that we do. We keep a science journal. All the kids keep a science journal. In fact, I've got an example of one right here, just a regular composition notebook that they dress up. And in the notebook, we hand out charts for each investigation. We were looking at ants one day. So this is an example of something we do. We keep a science notebook because scientists keep good records. Yes, keep going. The program is pretty obviously scalable. Once we're doing it in second and third grade, we'll do it in fourth grade next year, and fifth grade the year after that. We can, if other people are interested, we can move to other schools because the curriculum is the same throughout the county. So if it works at Fruitland Park, it'll work anywhere. This is just a big statement of why we want to be outside, but we've had some kids get overheated. We've had some volunteers get overheated. We love to be outdoors. We think science works better outside than inside, but it can be dangerous. So we're asking for some shade sails. 6 shade sails, 1 for each of the 6 classrooms that we'd like to have out there simultaneously. Starting next year, when we go to 4th grade, we want to have 2 second grades classrooms outside, 2 third grade classrooms, and 2 4th grade classrooms, all working at the same time on different kinds of science, but all working outside. And that way we can, during a morning, walk through 2 at a time, walk through all of the classes in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grades.
In keeping with the rules,
Yep.
I'm afraid that we're going to have to go to Q&A.
Well, I'm fine with that because we just said what we need, and benches to go with that. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I like this very much. What kind of science products are the children doing, or?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Today, we were talking, the concept is about inferences. Scientists infer. They come up with a question, they gather evidence, they use the evidence they gather to infer something. An example would be a kid walks in off the street, into your classroom, he's got a jacket on, a coat on, an umbrella in his hand, boots on, and he's wet. What would you infer about the weather from that? You'd think the kids all got that pretty easily. It's raining. We used computer disks that, if you turn them upside down, they make rainbow patterns, and the kids then copied those rainbow patterns out into onto their notebook paper. And we asked questions like, do you notice a pattern in those colors? If the rainbow is repeated as you go around the computer disk, does the pattern repeat? Are all rainbows the same, was the end question. Can you infer from the evidence that you've gathered that rainbows, the colors in a rainbow, all occur in a certain pattern over and over and over again? So simple demonstrations like that.
Do they do experiments too?
They don't do it. Well, I would differ.
Well, they're
to say
investigations.
We do investigations. So this is an example of an investigation. So we don't actually have time to do
That's a very
experiments.
harsh word, investigations.
So, my 2nd graders today, we were working on properties of matter.
Yeah.
And so they had a variety of items that they had to describe with different properties. What
Okay.
color was it? What shape was it? What size was it? Did it sink or float?
So we try to present 3 investigations for every concept. There's 31 concepts in the 2nd grade and 33 in the 3rd grade. So during the course of 33 weeks of a school year, if we do 3 investigations each time, we'll get 100 investigations in, and that's about 20 or 25 times more investigations than a kid would get normally during the school year.
One of my observations looking through the school grade data is that it's unusual to find a school that would have a high science score that doesn't have a corresponding high reading score, since the test is not really hands-on, it's mostly reading. So what are the literacy ties in here, and how do you incorporate that, particularly with the superintendent's focus about reading, writing, talking in every lesson?
This is the literacy tie, the notebooks. It's the anchor for all the investigations. By the end of, not only do we give them how to set up your lab and your procedures that they're supposed to follow, but also some math, not much right this minute because we're starting the school year, but as the year goes on, more math, and then a series of questions that we ask them to answer. And they answer those questions in any way they wish to answer them. So there's because they're interested in what they're doing, they want to answer these questions. The literacy tie is the notebook. The writing, the reading, of course, is their normal.
Right. Generally, how I work things is in my classroom, I introduce the topic for the week in the beginning of the week, and we cover the vocabulary. And then we do our investigations on Wednesday after we've read the lessons and worked through the lessons in our textbook. And then on Thursday, I give them time to reflect on what they've learned and why they think certain things happened and how, and they actually have to do a writing piece in their science journal. So not only do they have the record of their investigation, they also have a writing piece. And since we're working on learning how to do those writing pieces in our language arts parts of things, I'd love to see as they go on how much better those reflections end up becoming as well. A little bit deeper knowledge and more information.
Help me understand this. First off, your program sounds great, but your specific request is for these sales
Right.
to take it outside or keep it outside?
Well, it was outside all of last winter and spring because it was, until it got too hot. But when we started outside this year, and we went inside because it was just too hot. There's not enough shade at Fruitland Park to have the kids, you're constantly moving to chase the shade.
I understand.
Okay, so.
The pitfalls of being outside in Florida. But does this allow you to perpetuate the program or expand the program or just take it outside because it's a better place to do it?
A little bit of both, I think.
Trying to quantify it a little bit.
This will allow us to ensure that we can stay outside in a safe way.
Okay.
Where we don't have to bring it inside if the temperature's over 95 because we know we have a shaded space and we aren't going to chase it around on the sidewalk. And we know that we've got that room, we've got the tables, we've got the benches. So knowing that we've got that, it also enhances the school community because on days other than Science Wednesdays, the other classes can also utilize this. So it is an enhancement to the campus as well. So I do think it's kind of a little bit of both. It allows us to stay outside, but we're also looking at adding 6 classrooms, and that will allow us to add that 4th grade in next year. We're looking ahead to make sure we have enough room. Now, when it does come time to add 5th grade in, we may have to do a little juggling as far as scheduling, and we may have to choose 2 days so that some of the classes are on Tuesdays and some are on Wednesdays, or however we need to work that.
But your inability to stay outside impedes your ability to grow your program?
I think so,
Okay,
yes.
that's good.
Right.
Thank you.
I think it changes the quality of the program, as opposed to keeps us from doing it. We could still do it. I just think it's better to be outside. I think it's been proven that going outside helps.
It's in line with what Bob
I
was
like to go
saying.
outside.
You stop using it so much.
I think the program sounds phenomenal. Sorry, what I'm struggling with is, and we had the same issue last year with one of the presentations. I'm looking at this as a capital improvement. You're looking for an improvement to the campus itself. The curriculum is, to me, it's a hook to bring it in within one of the four parameters. But how is this not simply a capital improvement to the Fruitland Park campus?
I think because this gives us a specific place that we know we have to work our program. Last year, we were on the sidewalk outside of one of the teachers' classrooms, and it can be very distracting because other classes are walking by, going to lunch, or there's a car driving by, or it's Jerry's turn to mow the grass. So this gives us a specific place where we are set aside and we're on our own, and we have that ability to do that isolated work as a specific classroom, but it's an outdoor classroom.
And what are your limitations when it's too hot and you have to go inside? What are you unable to do inside that you're not able to do outside?
We can be messy outside. We can hunt for, we can investigate
Play in the
plants. We can play in the dirt. We can, that's quite literal because we did.
We did do that.
We can do a few things outside that we would not want to do inside. It gives us more room. We can run outside, which is actually, we do some of that. So there are things that it makes it a whole lot easier to do it frees us up to do some of the investigations in a bigger and better way that I think creates those memories that I think will stick. If you stayed in the classroom, we could certainly do investigations. I'm just saying, I think the quality is affected by going inside.
Along those lines, have you looked at other funding opportunities already, or is this your first?
We have looked at, you talk about this is kind of a capital improvement, I forget who asked. One of the other things that there's another grant that we're actually looking at to help fund, it's smaller pieces, is some of the more consumable things that we use each year, for copying, and, so that we've got the copies that we need, because they don't want to infringe on the few copies that we have as teachers. So that's all prepared for us ahead of time. So we have looked at other grants to cover some of our other expenses. So we figured because,
Just wanted to keep it clean.
a very simple request, it's not way over the top, we don't feel, and it will enhance not only the campus, but our science program.
I know we're still 7 years out from this, but Fruitland Park is the second project on our sales tax listing. So assuming the funding continues to maintain there and comes in at the rate that we're expecting, does this still work with a renovated campus based on where you're putting it? Have you talked with our operations folks, or I guess in the off chance that the site changes?
Well, and we
What's
have
affordability?
talked with Miss Langley, and she has a spot that is away from the main part of the campus. It's not like directly in the main area of the campus. It's out past where our PE field is. So it should not be affected by future construction, should that ever happen.
It will.
One day.
Would you do me a favor, please? Go back through the testing and the grade that you're currently getting at the school in science.
Okay. This past year, we were rated at a C school, and one of the reasons that we did not make that jump to a B was our science grade. And our fifth grade teachers, unfortunately, because like I said, we have that small window for science, and so it builds, the lack of science builds as the kids get older. And then when they get to fifth grade, we're trying to cram all this extra information in that got missed along the way, that wasn't anchored by doing hands-on investigations and doing regular science experimentation. So we're hoping and feel like we can prove, once we get these kiddos that started last year to fifth grade, that this will improve that science score, because we have started with them in a continual program, not just the curriculum, but in addition to the curriculum, to add to their experiences, so that when they get to fifth grade, they've got those anchored pieces that they remember from their hands-on experiences.
So if I understand right, your prediction is by 20, your school will be a B school.
No, an A.
An A school, hopefully. That's what we would like to see. We have big high sights. Now, I do feel like it will improve our science score. And it's assuming that, our team with Miss Langley as our leader, or whoever comes in, should that change in the future, we are pushing towards raising those scores all across the board. But I do feel like this would help enhance the science portion of things, so that the science isn't holding us back, let's say that.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying, and I'm, in business, you say, I want to spend X number of dollars because I'm going to get Y back.
Yeah.
And usually the person who has that presentation holds the rewards and the downside. And so I just want to make sure I understand, you're suggesting that if this money is given you by 20, meaning 18 you bring in the fourth graders, and then in 19, the fourth graders become fifth graders, they take a test, I assume, in the spring,
Right.
and your grades are
Spring of
awarded
20.
sometime in the spring of 20.
Right.
Then you'll be a B school.
At least.
So I just looked up what last year's scores were, and I guess science was 30% proficiency, which is, you're right, really, really low. ELA was 49, so certainly that would need to come up significantly as well. But based on the science alone, have you had a chance to partner with the curriculum department to identify what's causing those gaps for that? Because 62% on average is what you need to be an A, and
Right.
30 is, it's a long way to
Really
go.
low. Yes. I was a science coach last year, and because Title I funds were cut, I was cut from that position. That's why I'm teaching second grade this year. So while I didn't work directly with the curriculum department, I did partner some with Kelly Dodd, and we did look at some of the things that were lacking. And I do feel like, and this is a personal opinion, it has nothing to do with our curriculum department at all, but I do feel like science is brushed under the rug along with social studies. It's brushed away because reading and math and reading and math and reading and math. And unfortunately, you end up with 30%. I worked with those kids. You know, I saw them every week and did hands-on investigations with them, but it's too little too late. I mean, you know, by 5th grade, they've got things ingrained in them already that either are misconceptions or haven't been addressed, or it's just not enough, too much information all at once that we're trying to cram at them, you know, as well as trying to make sure their reading and writing scores are up and their math scores are up. And, you know, it's one more thing that we're throwing at them. And I think if we're hitting them from the beginning, catching them from the beginning and making sure that we've got that strong basis that's not costing so much time on the teacher's part, you know, it can't hurt. You know, I mean, and that's kind of where I'm coming. I mean, it can only help. It can only help raise some of it. Is it going to reach every kid? Maybe not. But, you know, when we're working with 200 kids, chances are we're going to hit most of them. And, you know, some of them are going to get something out of the program because it is year-long. And it is, you know, they're going to continue in it from year to year.
Well, Aaliyah, if I can add, I think that one of the things we're targeting a lot of things, but one of the things we're targeting is low performers. And low performers traditionally, in science, traditionally have low performance in other skill sets like reading and writing. And so if the main way you get science is through reading and writing, the low performers are at a double disadvantage. And so hands-on, discovery-based investigations, and lots of them, we think is the quickest and surest way to get to those low-performing kids and give them a second chance.
I have a couple questions back to the money that you're asking for. You have on here the 6 shade sales for outdoor classrooms. So these will be the different spots around the campus?
Right.
And who's installing those, and is that number in this price?
That number's not in that price. I talked to Mrs. Langley about who would do the installation, and she said that she would talk to the county and take care of it. That number didn't.
Because it looks like, I mean, obviously has to be some concrete involved somewhere or something.
Probably so, but I'll take her word for it.
Okay.
Fruitland Park also receives a generous grant from the community called Bless Fruitland Park. And so she has said, if I have to go into that money, I will. So if the county cannot cover it, she has some backup sources.
Is this area that you're planning to put this, is this on grass or is it concrete?
Grass.
Grass, okay.
How long do the sales last?
They have a 10-year warranty.
I have a question. Granted, based upon what you're saying, this should show significant improvement. But is there a pilot out there somewhere where you can actually gauge these numbers? Because you're giving specific numbers, like it's going to take us to a B, it's going to take us here. So is this been done somewhere else where we can measure and say, okay, based upon, I guess I'm a numbers person too, based upon 1, 2, 3, then we can see, we just said we will see some improvement.
The only other, Leah, if you know, there's no place in Florida that I know that's doing this. I used to live in Alabama, and the Alabama has a program called ANSTI, Alabama Math Technology, Science Technology Initiative. And it's a hands-on program. It's a voluntary program where teachers from all over the state can start doing hands-on investigations, and they don't even use a science book, the people that volunteer for this program, so it's all hands-on. And they have shown across the board, it's a program I think in its 23rd year, and across the board for the people who volunteer, the classes that volunteer, they have shown nothing but improved reading scores and writing and science scores for the classes whose teachers volunteered to fully commit to the AMSTI program. That data is available to anybody that wishes it on a public website. But in Florida, I don't know of any.
Any more questions? Thank you. Our final presentation today is by Nicole McMahon from Carver. Her dream team is Rich Kelly, Mark Robert Schwartz, and Katie Smith.
What you see currently is actually my first math team, so I just want to brag about them as my babies. Okay, sorry, I don't have food for you. I actually have homework. We invited math teacher. She's going to bring an assignment. And just really quickly, I'm Nicole McMahon. I am an algebra teacher at Carver Middle School, and I also run the STEAM Club because we do include arts with our STEM, and I'm also the coach for our competitive math team. So I wanted you guys to get back into the mindset of being a student. So that is why I did bring homework, and you will need a calculator. We only have enough, thank you, for you guys to partner. So you're gonna have to share your calculator.
Be pretty compelling, wouldn't it?
So you do slide the cover off, and there is an on button in the corner. And all we're gonna do today is pretend we are animators. So that first sheet of paper I gave you is all about animators and how they use math and algebra to make objects. So I want my students to have a real world experience. So they're gonna be animators in this lesson. So you're gonna be animators in this lesson. So we're gonna start with basic shapes. So we're gonna start with just making a box, just a square. Animators make crazy shapes and designs, but we're just gonna work on a square. So if you hit on, there's a little square behind your paper that has equations for you to enter. And when you put in those equations, you should get a square on your screen.
We're having a real world experience here. Ours doesn't.
Oh no, they're not worth, okay, we have new calculators.
But now you understand why she needs money.
Yeah.
You two students have to do it on a piece of paper.
No,
Does yours work? Ours works.
if we don't have to do this, I approve their donation.
Dang, I can never get into those things. That's a real world problem right there, getting into
Yeah.
that, right?
Hold on, I'm getting the answer
This one
now.
doesn't work. Oh, you go ahead.
Okay, so you should have a new calculator, and if you flip it over, you should have batteries. Maybe. Are they good? No?
You're gonna run out of 10 minutes here if we have to do those.
Oh no. So, this problem happens a lot. As you can see, I probably would spend half my class period just trying to get half my students' calculators to work. And if I even found these new ones, I did do that on purpose. I'm sorry, that was mean of me. I did give you broken calculators. I'm surprised the one does work, so that did surprise me. So that is the problem. So these calculators did come from my classroom. They are real. That is what my students used to use before I was able to get a radio station actually to donate some new batteries and some new calculators for me. So we were able to move forward. But unfortunately for you guys, you're not going to get to do my awesome real-world lesson and be animators and make boxes and shapes on your graphing calculator. So, no homework. Can you go ahead? Next. So that's the problem we're facing. In 2015, not 2015, from 2015 to 2022, there will be 1 million STEM careers that don't exist right now, or some exist, some don't yet. And our students here at Lake County probably won't be the ones working in them, just because they don't have the exposure to technology to be comfortable enough to go into those fields. Many of my 8th graders at Carver, because Carver is a Title I school, so they don't have access to technology at home, and they don't have access to it at the school. So many of them don't even know how to make a PowerPoint. When I assigned a PowerPoint last year, I had to actually spend time in class teaching them how to create a slide, how to type things into the slide, how to create a new slide, and move on from there. So, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. So to solve this problem, I put on my engineering hat. And as engineers, when you have a problem, you do research on how other people have addressed the problem. And other people have. There's websites like Find It, Fund It, GoFundMe, Amazon Wishlist, and Donors Choose. There's tons of them. I actually have done various ones of those. I've done GoFundMe, I've done Donors Choose, and most of the time they don't get funded. Most of the time those wish lists sit there and nobody ever goes to fund them. I actually took a screenshot. If you look on the second page of the current Find It, Fund It website. And when you look on there, you'll see tons and tons of projects. But the problem is we're already in the end of October, and thank you, only one of them has been funded. And out of all the projects, the one that was funded was only $73. So a majority of those projects are just sitting there, and it's really limiting what teachers can do with their students and the exposure students are getting. So STEAM Connection is actually the solution to this problem. STEAM Connection is different than all these other websites that already exist because it's real world. You are walking into an event where there are students there with tables, with their projects that they need funding for, and the people are coming and seeing it and talking to them and meeting them and providing that funding right then and there. You see it now with the hurricane drives. People don't want to go on a website and send their money somewhere. They want to go to an actual drive, bring the things that people are requesting, and see that it is going to where they expect it. So in its pilot year, STEAM Connection would invite Leesburg schools, so there's 11 of them, to find teams of students with a teacher, course mentoring, that have a project they want to do in class, but there's no funding to do it. So for example, me and the science teacher at my school partner up and do a eco-city project. Each student creates their own city, and they design it to be eco-friendly and to involve technology. And the goal is, at the end, they get to actually build it using a 3D printer. But we don't have money to use a 3D printer. We have a 3D printer, but it costs money for the plastics and for everything else. So instead, the kids had to build their cities using cardboard and glue and recyclables, basically, even though we have these 3D printers that aren't being used. So this would allow students to bring those types of things that they want to do in class that they can't do, make a table, market themselves. So each school would receive $100 from us to create their own marketing, and we would expect them to work with the business classes and the business clubs at their school to help market their table and really try to get people to buy into them, get people to come to their table, look at the project they want to do or the lesson that they want to do in their class, and get donors to give them the money to do it. Some of the other advantages to that is it increases family involvement. So you'll have families also coming to this event, seeing what their kids are working on and what they do. It allows community partnerships. So we do plan to personally invite different community leaders and business owners in the Leesburg and the Villages area. It also creates ownership. So before, you could send money and you don't really know if the project ever happened or if it just dissolved away. With this, we are requiring that the 11 projects that participate, one from each school, follows up with their donors, or else they will not be allowed to participate that following year. So they do have to either take a picture or a video or some sort of token to show appreciation to the people who do end up donating. So there's that accountability piece and the ownership with the students really following through with these projects that they want to get done. Go to the next one. Additional benefits, so of course, our problem was students not getting exposed to technology, so that takes care of that. When they get the funding or they get whatever technology they were asking for, now they're getting to use it more in the classroom. It's not one of those, whenever we get to go to the computer lab, maybe twice a year, then I'll be on a computer. The goal is for them to be really using them at least once a week in the classroom. It also means that teachers can make more engaging and more rigorous assignments. When a teacher has technology that's up to date, they're not wasting class time fixing technology and technical errors. They're able to go right into their lessons and really meet the full extent of their lessons and get students more engaged. In addition to that, a big issue is our lower quartile students, the students at the bottom in student achievement who aren't growing. Many of the remediation programs that the county pays for are computer-based, like Achieve 3000 or IXL for ELA and math, and that requires computers individually. So ideally, every student who is, in our bottom quartile would have their own computer. So that also increases student achievement. So,
Nicole, I think we're at a point where we're going to go to questions and answers, and that was really cute.
and I also have a student work sample to show you guys of the finished project when their calculators did work.
So what's the going rate for a class set of these graphing calculators?
The graphing calculators are really old. So a brand new set would be between 100 to 150 a piece. So if you're talking a class of 25 or 24 students, because the cap for algebra is 24, so 24 times 100, so $2,400. But that's not including batteries as well. And that's just graphing calculators. Most teachers are requesting things like a class set of laptops or a class set of iPads or a smart board, which costs much more.
Ma'am.
That there are, or have evidence that your concept of pairing fundraisers with Mississippi funds works in other areas? Do you know of other schools that have tried the same concept?
So at Carver, we already do a STEM night. So we already have a night in the spring where students come and parents come and they get to see different projects. We actually had a partnership with NASA last year, so NASA came out, and we're going to try to include NASA this year along with UCF's robotics team and Polytechnic University, as well as Orlando Science Center. So we always have a good turnout with that. So the only thing we really want to build into it is giving people the opportunity to help fund while they are viewing those projects and programs.
So you anticipate this being a standalone event or piggybacking on other events? Is this an event or is this?
Yes, so it is an event. This pilot year would only be the Leesburg area schools out region, but the ideal is for it to scale up and be in other regions, and also for it to be held more frequently than just once a year.
Who's going to plan the event, set it up, all that behind the scenes work?
Me right now. until I can get some volunteers. There is another teacher at the school, Miss Smith, who helps with the STEM night, and also our family involvement, Mrs. Gonzalez. And we would expect other schools also to help if they wanted to participate.
So how are you paying for this after this year? This is just $3,400 that you want is just for the first time?
Yes. So in previous years with our STEM nights, we've always just funded ourselves. We've got the sponsorship from NASA. We've used some of our Title I funds since it is a family night. So the goal is this first year is just to get it out there. And in the future years, we won't need to get outside funding because we will have sponsors. We will have schools who want to participate and who are willing to help by using their funds as well.
So how many times prior has this been done?
The STEM night without the technology drive,
Well, you said you had before you had this type of event, and there were other people involved, other sponsors. So do you know how many times, is that just the STEM night you're talking
yes,
about?
that is the STEM night. I've worked at Carver 3 years. We've done it the past 3 years. I believe it was going on before then. I don't know how many years prior it was going on.
Okay.
But you weren't actually raising money at that time.
No, we were not.
And I hate to bring this up, but it looks like from the instructions that food is not an allowable cost. It's like almost a third of the budget is for food.
Oh, I did not know food was not part of the budget.
Refreshments are not allowed.
Okay, well, food had been donated in the past, so we had already planned for if we weren't able to get funding for food, we already have some connections. Normally, as weird as it sounds, our cafeteria manager actually is an amazing cook, and she usually caters our events.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do have to take them back.
That was very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Now I'm sure you're wondering what's going to happen next, and that's our judges have a big decision to make. So we will soon be learning who the winner of the $50,000 or who all is the winner of the $50,000. And after the judges make their decision today, it'll run to the foundation board, and then tomorrow by noon, high noon on the 26th, you'll receive notification of the judge's decision. Thank you for coming. I appreciate your time. And foundation board members, if you'd like to stay and hear the judge's comments, you're welcome to. We'd ask that presenters leave. And we have had Lauren DeRitter, who is head of risk management, and John Carr, who's head of operations from the district, sit in through the entire presentations. So if you have any questions regarding policies of the district or insurance, they can answer those for you real quickly. Okay. Thank you.
Thank all the mentors, too.
Yes, thank you, Dream Team.
You guys got the food though.
Yes.
That's right.
And thank you to Jim Roy for filming. Thanks, Kate. Does anyone have any questions of risk management or operations regarding any of the projects?
You know, I kind of have questions about the food truck, food trailer. I mean, we give them the money, or they get the grant, they purchase the item. Then whose responsibility does that fall on? Whose plate gets that piece of the pie for insurance, for maintenance, for liability, et cetera?